steal like an artist. Let's talk about that for a sec. According to Pablo Picasso, good artists copy, great artists steal. Now, this doesn't mean literally stealing someone's art and claim it as your own. What this means is to find various of artists that you completely idolize, that you can copy, combine all of their work, and use it as a guide to find your own unique style. Because if you take all of the influence from one reference, from one artist, then eventually people will call you a thief. And that is what we're trying to avoid here. In this video, I will show you exactly how I use reference to create all of my artworks. And majority of the time, I limit myself by using 5 references, because that is all you need to create one amazing, unique art. Well, to be honest, you can use less or more than that. There's actually no rule for it. 5 is the amount I personally use myself to avoid the art block syndrome, and making sure I avoid wasting countless of time browsing the web just looking for the perfect references. Each of the 5 reference has its own purpose. So right now, I'll share you my screen and I will try to find my first reference. Now, the first reference is basically the main character and its pose. This will be the base of our portrait. I'm kind of feeling doing black and white. You know what? I like this one. The second reference will be the background. Alright, so we will make sure that our character's overall color, lighting, and shadows will be influenced by the background surrounding that character. So right now, I am in Pinterest and I'm going to look for my second reference. I'm thinking of, creating a city type vibe kind of artwork. We already have our character. Now we need the background. I like this color palette. Okay, I choose this one as my second reference because I just really like the color palette here, the setting. So I'm not gonna draw the character here, but I am going to draw the background. And of course, let us not forget to give credit to the 5 creatives who made the references that I'll be using in this video. So make sure to check all of them out. Their links will be under the description below. Alright, now that we have our second and first reference, let's move forward to the third and fourth references. Now, the third and fourth is where we choose 2 artists and try to combine both of their style into our artwork. I already chosen one of Samda's artwork, which is this one, which is what's this, Teza. I actually love the simplicity and the stylization that Samda's art do here, so we'll be using this one. And I already chosen one of Evelyn Stockart's artwork. I like how she add textures and how she renders her characters as well, especially the lighting. Truly amazing. And lastly, the 5th reference. Now I choose this one. So basically the 5th reference is all about clothing, accessories, or any extras that you want to put in your character to make them unique. Alright, now that we have the 5 reference, now it's time to compile them in one canvas in Photoshop. As you can see, I've already compiled all of the reference that we have chosen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all of this reference on the side. I already created a canvas where I'll start sketching. Okay. Alright. Let's start getting our hands dirty. Create a new layer. Okay. So right now, we are at the sketching stage where we try our best to draw the base and look for the basic shapes that will help us identify where everything goes. So I am not focusing on any details just yet. Now take note, what I'm doing here is not copying the entirety of the first reference. So it doesn't matter if it's not completely accurate, because I want to implement the art style of Samda's art as well. So I have to make sure I simplify and stylize the portrait that I am drawing. So this will take a lot of practice. So I'm going to try to make a separate video on how to improve sketching. I am not a master when it comes to anatomy and digital art in general. I'm still learning as I go and just sharing what I know right now as an artist. I just started this YouTube thing, just for the sake of documenting my journey and hoping maybe it can help young aspiring artists out there. I got the earrings from the 5th reference. That's about right. Okay, you know what? This is kind of boring. So I'm gonna fast forward this. As you can see, I've mixed up the first, third, and fifth reference to create this drawing. There are some similarities, of course, but because of the method of using multiple references as a guide, I was able to draw something different. The next step that I'll be doing is using the lasso tool and the pen tool to create the shape/silhouette of the character and creating its own layer. Doing this will make it easy for us to render later. Okay, once I'm done creating the silhouette, I'll be adding the color palette of the character. Now this is called the local colors. Basically, these are the original colors of a subject when light and shadows are absent. Local colors are done. So before I add the shadows and lighting of the character, I will be painting the entire background first. Because the background is sort of like a guide for you to identify on how you will be rendering your character. Remember that the character's overall color, lighting, shadows, and ambience are dependent on what environment they're in. As I paint the background with the guidance of my second reference, which is a simple eye-level view, I do not let myself focus on the details because I will be blurring the entire background anyways as soon as I'm done. Plus, I'm just following in what I'm seeing in my second reference. You will see that the background reference is completely blurry. Okay? I truly like doing backgrounds like this because I don't have to be a perfectionist. I just put some colors that I see on my reference, make sure they all work, and I just blur it out in the end. Background is done, check. So let us now proceed with the adding shadows and lighting to our character. So even when I'm rendering, I still follow the shadows and lighting of my references. I'm looking at every single one of them constantly to make sure I am on track, especially the first and second reference, for they give me more information on how I should be painting the portrait. But the fourth reference, which is Avalyn's artwork, gives me an idea of the type of rendering I want to implement in this piece. Mainly the way she paints her hair in this character, and the texture of her shadows. Right now, I am using the noise brush to paint my shadows. As you can see, I am actually just using one color to do my shadows, which is reddish pink. Nothing specific as long as it is in the same type of color spectrum. And the layer of the shadows is actually set to multiply mode that will allow color to darken a bit when I paint over it. The technique I use is to continue to observe my first, second, and fifth reference to find the basic shape language of the shadows. And I use the lasso tool for that, and most of the time the shapes won't be accurate. So I adjust the edges by simply using the eraser tool with a soft round brush. So I started to add the direct light by creating a new layer and set the layer to color dodge mode. Take note, I'm still observing my second reference. I chose this background reference that contains a model in it because I want to be more informed on how a person will look like if they are in this type of environment. Like how the light will affect their body, and what will be the color of the diffuse light. Will there be a rim light as well? How intense the lighting should be. That's why if I'm looking for a background reference, most of the time I prefer with a model in it. Once I'm satisfied with the entirety of the artwork, I create a new layer on top of everything, even on top of the line art layer, and there won't be any blend mode, just completely normal mode. And this is where I paint over it and add details like hair strokes, highlights, blushes, freckles, etc. Well, that is it, guys. I actually love how the painting turned out. At the end of the day, the learning never stops for us artists. Even the greats continue to learn and improve their craft. If you are going to use references, always, I cannot stress this enough, credit your references. It just shows respect to the artists who basically helped you move one step closer in becoming better. If you made it this far in this video, I appreciate you all. Make sure to leave me a like if this video was somehow helpful, and subscribe if you want to see more art related content. This is my very first YouTube video and I am planning to publish once a week every Saturday because I'm still figuring out the kinks of how everything, works. Anyways, I'll see you guys. Have a great day.